Welcome to the channel where excuses die and purpose is born. This isn't just motivation, this is a wake-up call. Here we talk truth, that your dreams mean nothing without discipline, that you are not a victim, you're a creator. That when you fall forward because failure isn't final. That comfort is the enemy of growth. That your life, not your title, is your real resume. And above all, that faith without action is empty. If you're ready to stop wishing and start working, if you're ready to own your choices, your grind, your story, you're in the right place, hit subscribe, turn on that bell, because this is where purpose meets responsibility. Let's build something that lasts. Dreams without discipline are just wishes. Everybody's got dreams. Everybody talks about where they want to go, what they want to do, the life they want to live. But not everybody is willing to do what it takes to make it real. That's the difference right there. The ones who make it, who truly live the life they imagined, are the ones who take responsibility. That's where it starts. Not talent, not luck, responsibility. You want to be great. Then you've got to be responsible for your greatness. That means showing up when nobody's watching. That means putting in the work when it's uncomfortable, when it's boring, when it hurts. Dreams don't show up gift trap. They don't knock on your door and say, "Hey, I'm here." No, you've got to build them with your bare hands, brick by brick, day by day, and that takes discipline. Now let me tell you something real. Discipline is not punishment. It's freedom. Discipline is the tool that separates people who try from people who become. Discipline is getting up early when you feel like sleeping in. It's saying no to distractions that steal your time and yes to the grind that nobody else wants. It's doing it again and again and again until it's right, and then doing it again to make it better. Too many people wait. Wait for the right moment. Wait for motivation. Wait for someone to give them permission. But responsibility doesn't wait. It acts. It says, if I want it, then it's on me. No excuses, no shortcuts. When you live like that, everything changes. You stop blaming other people. You stop waiting for opportunity and start creating it. You stop running from hard work and start embracing it, because you know that's where the reward is. That's where transformation happens. Everybody wants success, but most people don't want the responsibility that comes with it. Success demands discipline. It demands structure. It demands that you choose purpose over pleasure, that you choose vision over distraction. And let me tell you, that's not easy. That's why most people settle for average. That's why most people stop at good enough. But if you want more than average, then you've got to live above average, and that starts with discipline. You want to build something that lasts, something that matters. Then stop dreaming and start deciding. Decide to take control of your time. Decide to take control of your habits. Decide that you're not going to be another person who talks. You're going to be the one who shows up, who outworks, who outlasts, who outlives the noise. That's what responsibility looks like. That's what discipline creates. Let's make this clear. Nobody owes you your dream, not the world, not your parents, not your friends, and definitely not the system. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your potential. You owe it to the people who look up to you and the generations that will follow after you. If you want it, take ownership every single day. Responsibility doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. You will, you'll fall, you'll fail, you'll get tired, but discipline gets you back up. Discipline says you don't stop just because it's hard. You don't quit just because it's not fair. You rise, you learn. You keep going because your dream is worth that. You're worth that. See, discipline sharpens you. It strengthens your mind, your character, your choices. It turns potential into power. It transforms ideas into impact. That's why it's not just about achieving something. It's about becoming someone who's accountable, someone who can be trusted, someone who knows that freedom is earned, not given. So if you've been dreaming, good. Keep dreaming, but don't stop there. Don't let that dream collect dust on the shelf while life passes you by. Wake up with it, work with it, sweat for it, Fight for it, protect it, feed it with your discipline. Nurture it with your responsibility, because dreams don't work unless you do. And that discipline you hate, that grind you avoid, that's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Own it. You are not a victim of the world, you are a creator within it. That's the truth most people never want to hear, because it's easier to blame. It's easier to point fingers at circumstances, at the system, at other people. It's easier to say, "This happened to me," than to say, "This is what I chose to do with it." But let me tell you something, life doesn't owe you anything. Not a thing. It doesn't owe you fairness, comfort, or opportunity. It gives what it gives. Sometimes it's pain, sometimes it's loss, sometimes it's silence when you're begging for a sign, but you're still here, you're still breathing, and that means you still have power. Responsibility is power. When you take responsibility, you stop being a passenger and you start driving. You don't get to pick the weather, but you do get to steer the wheel. That's what matters. You may not control what happens to you, but you absolutely control how you rise from it. That's where your strength lies, not in pretending nothing ever went wrong, but in standing tall and saying, even though it did, I didn't let it stop me. I've seen too many people get stuck in a victim mindset. They talk about what they didn't have, what they lost, what someone else didn't do for them, and yes, it might be true. Some of you didn't grow up with support. Some of you were lied to, cheated on, abandoned. Some of you got hit with pain you never saw coming. I'm not here to tell you to forget that. I'm not here to act like it doesn't hurt. What I am saying is this: don't build your identity around the pain. Don't let the world write your story and then blame the ink. Pick up the pen, be the author, be the creator, because if you wait for the world to hand you peace, you'll be waiting your whole life. But if you decide to build peace within yourself, if you decide to turn your pain into purpose, your anger into action, your doubt into discipline, then you've taken back your power. That's what responsibility is. It's choosing to create even when everything around you looks like it's falling apart. And no, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be. Nothing worth building ever is. When you choose to stop being a victim, you don't just stop complaining, you start climbing. You take what's broken and build anyway. You take what's unfair and push anyway. You don't wait for someone to save you. You become the one who rises. That means no more excuses, no more waiting for perfect timing, no more saying, "I'll try," and then backing out when it gets uncomfortable. You either create your life or you settle into the version someone else creates for you. And I promise you that version will never be enough. Because only you know what you're really capable of. Only you can do the work that was meant for you. This world will always try to tell you what you can't do, that you're too old, too young, too late, too early. But when you take responsibility for your life, you stop listening to limits. You stop letting fear and doubt have the final word. You stand in the middle of the storm and say, "I'm still building." You face every no with the confidence of someone who knows they don't need permission to be powerful. You want a better life, then build it. Start where you are with what you have and take the next step. That's how creators think. They don't wait. They don't wish. They act. And they keep acting even when it feels like nothing's working, because they know something's happening inside, in their character, in their resilience, in the foundation they're laying for what's coming next. And if you're listening to this thinking, but you don't know what I've been through, you're right, I don't. But I do know this: every single person who has ever done something great had to overcome something. Pain, fear, failure, betrayal, but the difference wasn't what they went through, it was what they did with it. They created through it, and so can you. So stop waiting, stop blaming, stop letting your past write your future. You're not a victim, you're a builder, a maker, a creator, and your future is still in your hands. Own it. You will fail, you will fall. That's not a threat, it's a promise. That's life, that's reality. And anybody telling you otherwise is either lying to you or hasn't lived long enough. But here's the truth that separates the strong from the broken, the focus from the lost. When you fall, fall forward. See, people think falling is the end, like failure means it's over, but the only time failure finishes you is when you decide to stay down. Falling isn't the problem, falling is part of the process. What matters is how you fall. Do you fall flat and stay stuck, blaming everything and everyone for why it didn't work? Or do you fall forward, learning something, taking the hit, and using that pain to push you closer to where you're meant to go? You can't grow if you don't go through something. You can't win if you're not willing to lose along the way. So stop being afraid of failure. Start being afraid of not trying. Start being afraid of looking back on your life and realizing you played it safe. You avoided every fall, and because of that, you never reached your potential. Let me ask you something. What if your biggest failure is exactly what you need? What if the fall you're scared of is the one that wakes you up, teaches you who you are, sharpens your character, and fuels the fire you need to get back up stronger? See, that's the gift in failure. That's what falling forward gives you, wisdom, and once you've got wisdom, you can't go back to being the same. But here's the thing, when you fall forward, you've got to take responsibility for it. No excuses. No running, own it, own your part in it. That's how you take your power back when you say, yeah, I messed up, but I'm not done. You shift everything, you become dangerous to doubt. You become stronger than fear, because now you're not just surviving failure, you're using it. The world's gonna try to humiliate you when you fall. People will laugh, they'll doubt, they'll whisper, but while they're watching, you're learning. While they're talking, you're moving, and before they know it, you've already gotten back up and taken 10 steps forward. That's what they won't see coming. That's what falling forward does. It builds something in you that nobody can take away. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop thinking the first try has to be the final version. It won't be. You'll get it wrong. You'll make a fool of yourself. And guess what? That's part of becoming who you're supposed to be. Nobody great got it right the first time. The difference is they didn't give up the first time or the second or the 10th. They just kept falling forward, and let's be real, some of you are still stuck in a fall that happened years ago. You're still carrying the weight of one bad decision, one rejection, one moment where everything collapsed, and maybe you've been walking backward ever since, letting that moment define you, letting it write your story. But you don't have to keep living that way. You can fall forward today. You can say that happened, yes, but I'm not going back. I'm going to use it. I'm going to grow from it. Every time you fall forward, you get closer to the truth of who you are. You learn what works and what doesn't. You find out how deep your grit really goes. You stop being impressed by comfort and start chasing challenge, because now you know that's where growth lies. Not in the easy stuff, but in the struggles, in the setbacks, in the moments where you thought you were finished but chose to move anyway. Falling forward isn't about avoiding pain. It's about turning that pain into power, turning regret into fuel, turning confusion into clarity, and most of all, turning failure into faith. Faith that the process is shaping you, even when it hurts. You were never meant to walk through life without stumbling. You were meant to learn how to get back up with more strength, more wisdom, and more purpose than you had before. That's what growth looks like. That's where responsibility lives. Own it. Your life is your resume. Not your job title, not how many people follow you, not the awards, the money, or the applause. Your resume is built on your choices, every day, every decision, every time you choose discipline over distraction, responsibility over excuses, growth over comfort. You're writing a line on that resume. The question is, when it's all said and done, what kind of life are you really building? We live in a world that's obsessed with image. People are out here trying to look like something before they become anything. Dressing up their profiles, curating their lives for attention, chasing validation. But none of that is real. That's not legacy. That's not purpose when it all fades. And it will. The only thing that stands is the life you actually lived. Not the one people thought you were living. And that's why you've got to take responsibility for your life like it matters. Because it does. Every decision you make echoes. How you treat people, how you respond when things go wrong, how you carry yourself when nobody's looking. That's who you are, that's your real reputation, not what's on paper, not what's on a screen. But the kind of energy you leave in a room, that's what people remember. That's what defines you, not just what you say you value, but what your life proves you value. So ask yourself, what's on your resume right now? Not your career resume, your life resume. Are you someone who follows through? Are you someone who leads with integrity? Are you someone who lifts others when you're tired yourself? Or are you someone who talks a big game but can't stand when the lights turn off and the real work begins? Because responsibility means knowing that every moment counts, even the small ones, maybe especially the small ones, the little habits, the quiet choices, the things nobody celebrates but that build character brick by brick. You don't have to wait for some big opportunity to prove yourself. Your life is the opportunity. Every single day is a chance to add something meaningful to your story, and here's the truth. Nobody else can build it for you. Not your parents, not your mentor, not your friends. This is your responsibility, your choices, your consequences. You can't delegate your destiny. You can't outsource your character. You've got to own it, because that's the only way you'll ever become who you were meant to be. Don't confuse movement with meaning. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're building anything that matters. You can spend years climbing a ladder only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. Success isn't about noise, it's about impact. It's about who you helped, who you inspired, how you showed up. Not just when things were going well, but when everything felt like it was falling apart. Let me be real with you. It's easy to be impressive from a distance. But real power is quiet. It's built in the dark. It's earned when you're doing the right thing with no audience, no applause, no reward. That's where resumes are built. That's where lives are shaped. And that's where legacy begins. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be accountable. When you fall short, own it. When you mess up, learn from it. When you get knocked down, get back up. That's how you build a life you're proud of. Not by pretending to have it all together, but by being real, by being honest, and by being relentless in your pursuit of better. Your choices today are shaping the life people will remember tomorrow. So make them count. Stop living like you've got unlimited time. You don't. One day, people will speak about who you were, and what they say won't be based on your job title or your social media. It'll be based on how you lived, how you loved, how you lifted others. That's the resume that matters. Every single day is a page. Every action is a line. What you do, how you show up, how you carry your name. That's your story being written in real time. And you can either let life write it for you, or you can take the pen and write it yourself. That's responsibility. That's legacy. Own it. Put God first and then get to work. That's not just a motto. That's a way of life, a blueprint. You can pray all day, speak affirmations, talk about faith, talk about destiny, talk about purpose. But if you're not moving your feet, if you're not putting your hands to something, if you're not walking in the direction of what you're praying for, what are you really doing? Faith without action is empty. It's noise. It sounds good, but it builds nothing. See, too many people sit around waiting, waiting for the perfect sign, waiting for the right time, waiting for God to do everything while they do nothing. But that's not how it works. God can open a door, but you still have to walk through it. He can plant the vision, but you still have to build it. He can give you the calling, but He's not going to carry you the whole way. That's your responsibility. That's your part. Belief is powerful. It's the foundation, but belief without responsibility is just wishful thinking. And let me tell you, wishes don't build legacies. Faith builds legacies, and real faith requires effort. Real faith says, I trust that something greater is guiding me, but I'm going to show up like it's all on me. Because that's what responsibility looks like. That's what commitment looks like. not just trusting the process, but respecting it enough to work through it. You want to honor what you believe in, then take care of the gift you've been given: your mind, your body, your time, your talents. Take care of your family, take care of your purpose. Get up and do the work, not just when it's convenient, not just when it's easy, but every day. That's how you show gratitude, not just with your words, but with your effort, with your consistency, with your discipline. You can't say you're waiting on God when He's already been waiting on you. You were equipped with everything you need to take the next step. No, maybe you don't have it all figured out. Maybe the whole path isn't clear, but you don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You move in faith, you act in purpose, you trust that what you need will come when you need it, not before. That's how the journey works, and listen, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Faith doesn't make things easy, it makes them possible. There's going to be struggle, there's going to be setbacks. But every time you choose to keep going, every time you show up anyway, you're telling the world, I know who walks with me. That's strength, that's purpose, that's ownership. It's not just about achieving something. It's about becoming someone who can be trusted, someone who can be counted on, someone who knows that grace is not a free pass to do nothing, it's a call to rise and do more, to build something with what you've been given, to multiply the talents, not bury them in the ground and wait. You've got to believe boldly, pray deeply, and then go. Go scared, go tired, go uncertain, but go, do the work, build the habits, build the vision. Take the lessons, take the falls, and take the responsibility for every step of it, because that's the only way it becomes real. That's the only way faith moves from a word to a lifestyle. God first, that means honor, that means humility, that means alignment. But after that, it means action, because He won't force you to be great. He'll call you, He'll lead you, but you've got to answer. You've got to move, you've got to grind, not just for the outcome, but for the person you're becoming in the process. So don't just believe, build, don't just hope, hustle. Don't just pray for strength, train for it. And when it gets hard, when it gets lonely, when it gets quiet, you remember who's walking with you and you keep pushing. You keep showing up, you keep owning every step, own it. If this message hit home, don't just sit with it, act on it. Like the video, share it with someone who needs the truth, and subscribe, because we're not done building. This is about ownership, legacy, discipline, faith in motion. We fall forward here, we rise with purpose, and we don't wait for change, we become it. Own it. See you in the next one.